Hello and welcome back to the Celestial Garden Show. I'm your host, Shanice, and welcome. I'm so sorry, you guys. It's been a long time since I've recorded an episode, but I just want to let y'all know that I'm back and I've actually recorded a few episodes. So y'all gonna at least get a month of this. But welcome back to the Celestial Garden Show. Um, this is going to be a different type of episode, or the episodes going forward will be different because I am giving weekly horoscopes. Something I told myself I would probably never do, but I love talking about astrology and I find myself always talking about it, always reading about it, always studying it. So why not continue to make podcasts talking about the transits and hopefully helping you guys understand your natal chart so that you can start tracking your transits. But this week, so this is the episode. This episode is for the week of, which week is it? Oh my goodness. For the week of March the 10th to March the 16th, 2024. And honestly, I know I'm late. Better late than never, you guys. But yeah, I'm late. I'm like a day late, but it's okay. We had a new moon on Sunday morning, and this new moon was in Pisces. So I hope you guys set your intentions. Like I said, I'm sorry that this is late, but I will talk about this new moon, and honestly, you can still work with it. We are still in this moon cycle. However, come next week, I would not suggest you setting any intentions or like actively manifesting, intentionally manifesting, because we are headed into eclipse week along with Mercury retrograde shadow period. So I wouldn't recommend starting anything new if you've been working on projects thus far, or if you've been in situations, relationships, friendships, whatever have you, however this pertains to you. Then I'm not saying like break up, start something new, don't do this, don't do that. Whatever you have planned up until this point, stick with it. But going forward, like starting next week, I would not intentionally start anything or intentionally do anything if I were you. That's just my advice as an astrologer, because eclipses are usually unpredictable. And in ancient astrology, in ancient times, they didn't use eclipses. Like they wouldn't even go outside during eclipses. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend actively manifesting or intentionally manifesting. Now do whatever your soul, your God, whoever tells you to do. Like don't listen to me if you feel led by the spirit to do something different. But I'm just saying, okay. So let's get into the weekly breakdown, and we're going to start off with Sunday. So this was this past Sunday, March the 10th, 2024, and I'm going to get into the moon aspects of the week because this week is actually pretty quiet. Like we are motivated to do something, to start something, to work on something that we've been, putting off. And then by the end of the week, we are gathering information. We are trying to get grounded in the new way the new way that we are doing things. That's what it looks like. So let's just get into the weekly breakdown. So starting on Sunday, the moon was in Pisces. This is where the new moon happened. And the new moon was not really making any aspects other than it forming a sextile to Uranus, which is us feeling like we need to break free, we need to start something. To me, this new moon has been, from what I've been talking, like from what I've gathered talking to people, this new moon is us trying to find a way to pivot in a way that we can like liberate ourselves to do more creative things. I know that was a lot, but I hope that makes sense. Like we are trying to find a way, if you work in corporate America, for example, and you're not happy. Like, this is just, you feel very numb. You don't feel like that's something that you are meant to be doing. Your soul just feels very numb. And you are naturally a creative. And if you were able to, you would be working in the creative field. So that's what this new moon is giving. Like, it's really trying to get us to set the intention of us really going after our dreams, like seeing the reality of the situation and going after our dreams in a practical way. That's what this new moon in Pisces is giving. And so the new moon happened in the wee hours of the morning. Like, most of us were sleeping around this time. I'm in mountain time. So that was 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, my time. And the moon was at 20 degrees. So look at your natal chart to see if you have any planetary placements, or any angles at 20 degrees, like personal planets specifically. In the mutable signs, that's Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. Look to see if you have any energy, any planetary energy at 20 degrees. In between, I would say like 16 to 24 degrees of those mutable placements that I just listed, or I just said, not listed. What am I talking about? But anyway, if you have any planetary energy that is, or angles, that's your rising sign, your sun sign, your moon sign, Venus, Mars, in the signs of Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and it's between 16 to 24 degrees, you probably felt this new moon a lot more than others. And so this was getting you to get grounded in your dreams, see the reality of your dreams, see how you can go after your dreams. Now, depending on where these planets sit in your natal chart, that means the houses, these are how those themes are showing up for you. So if you have any mutable signs, those are the signs that I just said. If you have any of the mutable signs in your first house, this would be about your not public image, but like your persona, the way that the world perceives you, the way that you perceive yourself. You could be trying to get like a new look. You could be starting a fitness routine. This is if Pisces was in your first house, like if this energy is in your first house. So look to see where Pisces is in your natal chart. Look to see if you have any mutable signs, and then sit with that, sit with it. For example, I have Virgo energy. This energy wasn't really affecting me as strongly as someone who has those degree points, but I have Virgo in the 6th house. The 6th house is physical health. It's daily routines. It's the relationships we have with our pets, the relationship we have with our talents, like how we give service to other people. And it also, I like to think of it as the inferior house. So this new moon was opposing Virgo. So this would be probably me, mentally trying to gain clarity in those themes that I just listed or just said. So look to your natal chart, look at the house, look at the signs, and see if this new moon was talking to anything in your chart. And if it was, what was it trying to get you to set intentions on or for? So enough of that. Right after the new moon made its conjunction, because that's all a new moon is, when the sun and the moon come together, the moon moved over to Neptune, which Neptune has been in Pisces for since I think 2014 or something like that. It's been in Pisces for a minute. But Neptune has been in Pisces for a long time. It's probably longer than 2014. Don't quote me. And so the Neptune is comfortable in Pisces. Neptune represents our spirituality. It represents escapism, and how we want to escape reality or the things that we don't feel comfortable in. It represents our creativity and also the way that we surrender to our spiritual beliefs. So the moon has formed a conjunction to Neptune, and this is us really seeing what our gifts are, what we can bring to the greater whole, what we can contribute and give service to others. This is what the moon in conjunction with Neptune possibly represented. So if you have been feeling this deep rooted feeling, like deep inside, even if you try to push it away, if you've been feeling this urge to break free from something that you just don't want to do, this is the energy that you want to use to break free from it. Because this is not only tangible, like manifestation, like you actively working towards it, but this new moon symbolized the universe giving you a foundational support in going after your dreams. So right after the moon talked to Neptune, the moon moved into Aries because Neptune is at the final degrees of Pisces. So Neptune is about to move into Aries. And that's a whole nother conversation we can have on another podcast. But after the moon gained its emotional clarity for its dreams, the dreams that we are going after, and telling us how we can go after those dreams and make them tangible, and showing us the spiritual foundation we have to go after those dreams. So that's the moon talking to Neptune. Right after it did all of that, it moved into Aries. So the moon in Aries is like ready to start, ready to go after its dreams, ready to initiate whatever it is it wants to initiate. And it's starting your manifestation. The moon in Aries, I like to tell people who have the moon in Aries, the moon represents the first point of manifestation. So the moon is like where we start on conceptualizing what it is we want to go after. And the moon in Aries is asking us to initiate going after our manifestations. That's Aries energy. Aries is the courageous shit starter in so many words. It's the courageous leader. It goes after people who fight or who bullied the underdogs. So Aries wants to initiate something towards your manifestations. And the moon, when it moves into Aries, or moved into Aries, because we're talking past tense at this point, like I said, I'm sorry, y'all, but just listen to this part of the podcast to see if it resonates with you. See if this makes sense. And if so, then continue to listen to it and see how you can align naturally with the energetic astrology. Does that make sense? Not energetic astrology, but to see how you can align with the energy, the planetary energy that's transiting outer space. So the moon is ready to do its thing in Aries, is ready to get started. And right when it walked into Aries, it started talking to Pluto. Like it kind of, looked back at Pluto and was like, hey, this is what I've learned so far since I've last spoke to you. This is what I've learned, Pluto. And Pluto is it represents the underworld. It represents the things that we cannot see on surface level. It's the things that we typically hide from others. It's the things that we hide from ourselves. Like we know about it, but it's too frightening to, recognize it. So we push it down. That's Pluto. And it wants us to acknowledge the fear and turn that into purpose, like turn it into powerful purpose to help not only yourself, but others. That's what Pluto represents. So when the moon spoke to Pluto, while it was in Aquarius, when the moon transited Aquarius, Pluto brought something up from the subconscious and made it into our emotional awareness, our inner world. And so now when the moon moves through the signs, so when it spoke to Pluto in Aquarius, it moved into Pisces. And that's when, the moon spoke to Mars along the way. It spoke to Venus along the way. It spoke to Saturn along the way. And that's when it spoke to the sun and formed the new moon. So when the moon is transiting, it's bringing up things in our emotional world. It's showing us what the benevolent energy is trying to get us to see about ourselves and to recognize our higher self, our higher purpose. So let's get back to the moon in Aries. The moon is in Aries as of Sunday, and it formed a sextile. And I like to think of the sextile as harmonious conversations. And so I like to think of the planets as people and they're talking to each other. That's just how my mind works. And I hope this helps you understand and gain clarity on how you can look at astrology. But anyway, the moon formed a sextile so basically in my mind, the moon is looking back at Pluto and like, this is all of the information that I've learned, Pluto, since you've shown me the subconscious things that I didn't want to see, that I was trying to hide from. And so that was on Sunday. And Pluto was like, now that you see this, this is what you can now do to transform that fear into powerful purpose. That is what basically went on Sunday. After the moon talked to Neptune, the moon looked back at Pluto and was like, hey, this is all of the information that I've learned from Mars, Venus, Saturn, the new moon. And like, now I can set the intention and go forward, move accordingly. So the moon also spoke to Mercury, who just moved into Aries, which Mercury in Aries is basically like, she's ready to speak her truth. She's ready to be courageous. She's also very impulsive. So with Mercury and the moon talking to each other, we can now intellectualize the transformation that we need to do in our lives. We can now go after our dreams and we can now initiate the things. But this is what I want you to be aware of when the moon is in Aries: impulsiveness. The moon in Aries can be very impulsive. It can take action on things that it really hadn't planned out. So make sure, if you do feel impulsive to start something, start planning if you are not ready to take impulsive action. Okay. Like if you have not been planning the things that you are trying to manifest in your life, if this is something that you are just getting grounded in, plan to take action and then take action when the time is right. So I don't want anybody to just up and quit their job. I don't want anybody to up and just do things because they feel like, the moon in Aries is that type of energy. It's like, hey, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to break up with this person. It's very impulsive. It's fiery. It's ready to start things. It represents the astrological new year. That's Aries energy. So like, just make sure you have planned before you act on any impulsivity. Is that the word? Any impulsivity that you feel, make sure you have planned before doing it. Okay. I want to stress that. Okay. So now that was on Sunday. That was a lot. I know you guys, but now we're going to move into Monday, which is today while I'm recording this. And today the moon is in Aries, and it's, to me this morning, something that I've realized is that, I want to take action on the things that I've been planning, but I also want to take my time and make sure things are aesthetically pleasing. Make sure I know what I'm talking about. Make sure I am grounded in what I have going on before I share any knowledge that I think I know. That's kind of how I'm feeling this morning from my new moon energy and me getting grounded in this moon energy. So let's move into Monday. The moon is in Aries, and right before the moon makes any conversations to anything transiting, because the moon can be talking to something in your natal chart, but it might not be talking to anything that's currently going on in the sky. So right before the moon talks to anything that is transiting currently in the sky, Venus, the planet of balance, the planet of love, the planet of materialism, the planet of a good time. I like to think of Venus as Mardi Gras, to be honest. Like, Venus is just a good fucking time. She loves to drink. She loves to party. She loves to have sex. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll is Venus, okay? But Venus asks us to balance that, okay? Like, have a good time, but girl, also know when to turn it off. So that's Venus, okay? And she's very dense. She's hard to get to. She's hard to, like, it's hard to get Venus to love you, even though she represents love, she represents joy. It's hard for her to love you, to be honest. Like, truthfully, she wants the love, but it's hard for her to give it. And so with Venus moving into Pisces, typically Venus, she's exalted there. She's still exalted there. But typically when Venus is in Pisces, say for instance, when Saturn's not there, which Saturn is there now. But when Venus is in Pisces, we are very delusional. We can have a great time. Usually, I believe when Venus is in Pisces, is usually around Mardi Gras time. So like, it's just like a really good time. And so Venus in Pisces typically wants to get lost in delusion. She wants to get lost in her creativity. She is just lost in drugs, just like really delusional, okay? She's with the fairies and doing shrooms and shit, okay? But now that Saturn is transiting Pisces, there's a bit of seriousness there, okay? So Venus cannot do her typical hedonistic things. She can't be a good time while Saturn's there. Saturn is like the dad, like he's the disciplinarian, and he represents depression. And so with Venus entering the house where Saturn is in your natal chart, Venus is like, Saturn's like, hey, I know that you out there having a good time, Venus, but what is it that you are really good at? Like, what is it that you really feel love? Like, where do you feel love, Venus? Where do you feel devotion? Where do you feel at peace? Like, stop trying to cloud yourself with all of the consumerism and all of the mindless scrolling on your phone and trying to get lost in aesthetics and trying to look good and keep up with the Joneses. This is what Saturn's telling to Venus, okay? I hope y'all keeping up with me. But he's having a talk with Venus. Like, he's really, disciplining her. And how that shows up in our lives is we've been feeling lonely. Since Saturn has moved into Pisces, it brings a sense of us feeling internally lonely, like on a soul level. And with Venus moving into Pisces, where she can normally be exalted and like basically have Mardi Gras behavior, she can't do that. Like, she can't do that when Saturn's there, because Saturn's cleaning up house. Like, he's trying to bring the karma. He's trying to bring the truth to the Pisces energy. And this is why we are starting to see so much of Hollywood come out, because Hollywood represents that escapism in our society. It represents where we go to get lost from reality. And Saturn's there right now. And Saturn is like, hey, what have y'all done? And so that's what he's telling Venus. Like, what have you done? Especially, people think that I drag Venus placements, which low key I do, because I have like very uncomfortable Venusian energy in my chart. But I don't want people to think that I'm like speaking from a place of like, oh, she's just being a hater. No, Venus really is dense, y'all. Like, Venus can get so dense to the point where it's like, it's that toxic positivity. It's like, I create my own reality and everything outside of me is just like, it can go to hell, but I'm having the time of my life in my own mind. That's that toxic positivity. And so like, you have to be aware sometimes. Venus represents balance. It's like, all right, girl, you can create your own reality, but at the same time, look at the collective consciousness. Venus represents deep empathy. She's exalted in Pisces. We have a lack of empathy in this society right now, in the world right now. So Saturn is really showing us the truth. It's showing us where we need to start showing empathy more, where we need to stop. If you are a people pleaser, where you people please too much, and you need to create those boundaries of like, all right, girl, you need to bring that self-care to yourself and stop trying to bring that self-care to others. It's really getting that guard up to protect yourself and to build that solid foundation within your own beliefs in spirituality. Versus if you are on the other extreme of Pisces and you're like mindlessly just living life in Mardi Gras land and you don't care about anybody and you're like, oh, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me, then Saturn, this is really difficult for you. This is a very difficult time for you. This is it. Karma to me is like really happening fast. It's showing us where we fucked up, like without us being able to escape it. And I know I said a lot, but that's Venus in Pisces, y'all. That's this Venus transit in Pisces. All of what I just said, because Saturn is there. Typically, like I said, Venus would show up in Pisces and like, all right, y'all, let's party. But Saturn's like, nah, girl. nah. So with Venus moving into Pisces on Monday, we are starting to see the truth about where we go wrong and where we escape reality too often and where we have been delusional. We're starting to see the truth. This is the first time Venus is in Pisces while Saturn is there. So the moon will then the moon is in Aries still. And so with Venus moving into Pisces and the moon is in Aries, it's like, oh girl, we got to get started. We got to clean up. But the moon will form a conjunction. So it will talk directly to the North Node, which is now in Aries, where she has been since she or he, however you want to look at it, where the North Node has been since the summer of last year. That was July of 2023. So the North Node is in Aries. I like to look at the North Node as the collective consciousness currently, like where we are currently and where we're trying to go, and the South Node, which is on the other end or the opposite end of the North Node, is in Libra. And this is what we are trying to release. This is what we are trying to let go of. This is our natural gifts and what we naturally bring to our Libra house. That's where the South Node is. But it also, like I said, it represents like us leaving the shit that we don't want to carry no longer. It's us really releasing the bags that we no longer want to carry, the baggage. So the North Node in Aries is where we are trying to go, the collective consciousness, which the North Node is in Aries is us trying to assert our individuality, us seeing our individuality, us seeing how individualistic society has gotten. That is the North Node currently in Aries. And so the moon talking to the North Node is us recognizing our place in individualism, where we emotionally can be selfish. And then it will talk to Chiron, which is conjunct Aries, not Aries, the North Node. And Chiron in Aries, Chiron separately is just the wounded healer. It is the wound that we cannot really heal per se, but we can learn how to incorporate it into our lives and help ourselves and help others. That's Chiron. And Chiron in Aries is us having the wound of not exerting, but asserting ourselves. It's us potentially really feeling like we can't assert ourselves, or it may be us being too bossy, too assertive. It can be either or, but the moon is representing our emotions. So after it talks to the North Node, it will talk to Chiron. So after it talks to the collective consciousness and recognizes the individualism, it talks to the pain within ourselves in that collective consciousness. It talks to where we stand emotionally on a wounded level in Aries, on a collective level. So that is Monday. I know that was a lot, but it is us healing our emotional creativity. That's Monday. So Sunday is us recognizing our emotional creativity, bringing practicalness to it, how we can actually ground ourselves and create or initiate ourselves to create our dreams to reality. And Monday is us healing the wound from why we didn't go after those dreams. Tuesday is another beast because Tuesday we'll be talking to Mars, or the moon. The emotions will be talking to Mars. And Tuesday, the moon will also move into Taurus. So right after we feel this, what is it? This, not impulsiveness, but we feel exploded. We feel explosive. We feel explosive on Sunday going into Monday. And most of Monday, we feel like, okay, let's get started. Let's initiate. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's heal. We feel really motivated. That's the word I'm looking for. And then we get into Tuesday and like, we see our place in society. We see how we can actually take action. We see it starting to make sense because the moon will look back at Mars, which is in Aquarius. And Mars is, the rebel in Aquarius. It's like, all right, let's stand for social justice. Let's do what's right. But also Mars in Aquarius can be the rebel without a cause. So, you can be rebellious and just be rebelling and not really knowing why. So if you are that, get a hold of it. But the moon, our emotions will look back at Mars and Aquarius and it's like, hey girl, this is why we were rebelling. This is why we were doing these things because X, Y, and Z. Like now we can get started. Now we know our place in our community. We know our place in society. That is the moon forming a sextile to Mars and Aquarius. And that's happening on Tuesday. And that brings us a sense of peace. That brings us, and that happens in the morning, like at 5:00 in the morning, Mountain Time. So that's probably like 8:00 Eastern Time, or like 7 Eastern Time. So it's like us really seeing our place in the world Tuesday morning, and we feel the need to relax. Like we go into this emotional state of like, all right, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's enjoy our creativity. Like the moon moves into Taurus. So this is us. This is another Venusian energy. This is us really getting grounded in our natural abilities, the things that we are naturally good at. This is us really just enjoying being creative again, like the things that we are really looking forward to manifesting in our lives, us working towards that. That's us enjoying ourselves when the moon moves into Taurus on Tuesday. And the moon will form a sextile to Venus in Pisces. So the moon is like getting grounded in the reality of, our relationship with escapism. It's us getting grounded in what we need to create, what we need to feel emotionally sound within ourselves. That is the moon on Tuesday in Taurus, forming a sextile to Venus in Pisces. And then, girl, hold on to your seatbelt. The moon in Taurus will form a square to Pluto. So squares are points of friction. Squares are challenges, and they can be a bit uncomfortable. It's us getting out of our comfort zones. That's the square aspect in astrology. And squares can be, some people see them as negative, but they can actually be really positive. That can represent you overcoming something. So it's squaring Pluto in Aquarius. This could be, you doing something different, or, a pattern of a fear that is subconscious coming back up again, trying to scare you. This is like Pluto in Aquarius is a subconscious fear of something within, seeing the bigger picture of things. Also, like your place in community, and your community, how you relate to your community, how you relate to the things that you go after and manifest. That's Pluto in Aquarius, but that's like deep-seated fear, Pluto being that energy. And so with the moon, our emotions squaring that energy, that's like a fear potentially coming back up to test you. And what squares what I like about squares are they are opportunities for you to do something different. So the moon is in Taurus. The moon is our emotional sense of security within ourselves. Taurus represents us our natural talents. It represents the stubborn energy that we can like really get comfortable in and not want to leave. And Pluto in Aquarius is like, all right, this is why you need to do it. And us getting fearful of doing it. That's the moon square in Pluto in Aquarius on Tuesday. And so if you are feeling, a sense of fear or you are a little bit afraid of what might pop up for you, just look at this as an opportunity to overcome whatever deep fears you have, because when you overcome things, you open yourself up to new opportunities. You open yourself up to the potential of, gaining abundance. You open yourself up to Jupiterian energy. And speaking of, it's funny that I'm saying this because I really wasn't paying attention, but we moving into Wednesday and the moon will form this sextile to Saturn. So Saturn and talking to the moon is like, all right, now you see why I'm telling you that you need to pay attention to the way that you escape reality, because this is you potentially seeing something, seeing the truth about something, or seeing the reward, seeing why you need to put in that hard work, why you need to discipline yourself in said creativity that Pisces represents for you. So the moon and Saturn talking to each other is us, our emotions mentally talking to Saturn and talking to the strict energy within ourselves, the depressive energy, the energy that can be a bit existential. That's Saturn. So this Saturn is like, this is why I tell you to do these things. This is why I tell you to be structured. And the moon is like, all right, I can make sense with this. And right when that happens, or a couple of hours after that happens, the moon will talk to the lucky planet that everybody loves, Jupiter. And Jupiter represents luck, but Jupiter wants you to seek the truth before you are exposed, or it gives you the opportunity to experience that luck most times. So Jupiter is the magnification of things. Like wherever Jupiter is, it makes things bigger. So the moon and Jupiter are like, all right, this is why we need to go after the creativity that Saturn and Venus just told you about. This is why we need to go after the things that bring you peace, because Jupiter represents those new opportunities. And this could be a new opportunity. This could be a breakthrough. Wednesday could be a huge breakthrough for many of us. It can really show us the truth about what it is we feel really confused about. And it takes time with Jupiter in Taurus. It takes some time, y'all. Like Jupiter, I don't like Jupiter in Taurus. I really don't like it personally, because things to me, I feel like have been moving so slowly. And I think about Jupiter in Taurus the last time, and it was a very difficult time, a very challenging time in my life. So I don't know if that was the same for any of y'all who's listening. Let me know in the comments below. How has Jupiter in Taurus been for you? Jupiter has been in Taurus since May of 2023. So last summer, the beginning of last summer. How has Jupiter in Taurus shown up in your life? Like, how has luck and abundance shown up for you? For me, it has been being very resourceful, being frugal. Jupiter in Taurus is frugal for me. And that could be because I have Venus in Virgo. Okay, focus, Shanice. I'm getting on a tangent. But anyway, let's move into Thursday. Thursday looks a bit uncomfortable. It does. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. The beginning of Thursday looks a bit challenging. It's like trying to get us to really break a cycle, break a pattern in our lives. So whatever you have been stuck in doing, like whatever it is that you know you shouldn't be doing, Thursday is like, all right, girl, put your money where your mouth is. Are you really going to do it? Are you really going to change? Are you really going to initiate the change? Are you really going to do something different? Because the moon will be talking to Uranus, which is the planet of freedom, liberation, which is in Taurus. And then Mars in Aquarius will be squaring the moon. So Mars was sextile in the moon, and then it squares the moon right before it moves into Gemini later in the evening. So the moon in Taurus, it's talking to Uranus, Mars, the sun, and Neptune. This energy is really trying to get us to see where we go wrong, what it is we need to do to free ourselves from our own self-sabotaging ways. That is the earlier part of the day. And then right when the moon talks to Neptune, so it looks back at Neptune, is like, Neptune is the planet of like delusion and escapism. So Thursday, it looks like we're trying so hard to escape, or we're trying to overcome escaping, overcome the delusions we tell ourselves, overcome the negative patterns that we tell ourselves, overcome the Mardi Gras ways. That is on Thursday, earlier in the day. And then right when the moon moves into, before it moves into Gemini, it talks to Neptune. And it's like, all right, this is why we need to stop being so delusional. And it moves into Gemini. And that's where we get curious. We start to, try to find new ways of implementing these bad patterns, like not implementing them, but trying to break these bad patterns. So the moon moving into Gemini is us getting curious and trying to get more active and creative in finding new ways to like not go back to your old ways. So if you are trying to stop drinking alcohol, this could be you starting to like find new ways to find natural alternatives to relaxing yourself. If you drink alcohol to relax, to escape the day, you could be making mocktails, you could be making like the little sleepy girl drinks, stuff like that. There are natural alternatives. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say, but there are natural alternatives to drinking alcohol. If you are trying to stop eating so badly, like me, then this is you eating a salad instead of making donuts. Because that's the type of stuff I do. Like, I will make donuts instead of eating a salad. Okay. That is Thursday, us getting curious and finding new ways to implement the changes we want to see in our lives. Healthier changes, because the moon will be move into Gemini where it gets curious. And then it will talk to Aquarius where it gets innovative. Aquarius is an innovative energy. And the moon in Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius is us, getting innovative about those deep rooted fears. So that's Thursday, a challenging day, because it looks like on Wednesday we get some good news and we feel relaxed, we feel motivated, we feel like, all right, girl, we can kind of chill, and then motivated to relax on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, it looks like we relaxed too much and we might get too comfortable with relaxing to where we need to like, all right, girl, not relax too much. Let's get creative. Let's not do the things that we normally do. And I'm probably talking to myself, because I will like get some work done and be like, all right, let me just relax, let me chill, and then I will relax way too much, and then I will overthink, blase. But let's get into Friday. The moon is in Gemini still. And this is I forgot to mention that Gemini is the first quarter moon phase. So this is the call to action. This is us literally the phase of the moon cycle where we are asked to do something differently given the circumstances, on the intentions that we set, given the intentions, like what you were trying to do differently during the new moon on Pisces. Well, when the moon moves into the first quarter moon phase, it's asking us to get serious. Like, all right, put your money where your mouth is. Honestly, that's the moon moving into Gemini this week, and that's the first quarter moon phase this month. And it's the moon on Friday. We'll be squaring Pisces, Venus and Pisces early in the morning. So this is like really us trying to overcome some sort of like toxic pattern that we have, some sort of like thing that we keep trying to escape with. And then the moon talks to Mercury in Aries, and this is us, really standing firm in asserting ourselves. And when the moon talks to Saturn, it'll square Saturn. So another challenge, like I feel like the end of the week between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're headed into eclipse season, and it shows. Like this week seems really quiet. It starts off kind of quiet, motivated, and then as the week progresses, it's like, all right, we are overcoming some challenges. We are breaking patterns. We are breaking cycles. And then we head into eclipse season, and eclipse season is very unpredictable. So this is where we start to meet like this karmic energy. And so when the moon is talking to Venus, Mercury, and Saturn on Friday, it is us really, really getting grounded in our new ways. Like we have to get serious. Like this is what Friday is giving. Even though the moon isn't making that many aspects on Friday, it's talking to Venus, which is that dense energy, which I keep saying Venus is this dense energy because Uranus is there and it's trying to wake us up to like consumerism. Uranus is trying to wake us up to our hedonistic ways that we can get stuck in. That's Taurus energy, that hedonistic energy, that Mardi Gras energy we can get stuck in. So Friday is like, all right, girl, really, like, let's wake up. Girl, guy, whoever, like, wake the fuck up. That's Friday. Let's get serious about it. Let's really ground ourselves in our new ways, in our new behavior. Then we move into Saturday, where the moon's still in Gemini and it's talking to the North Node. Now, remember that the North Node represents the collective consciousness. It represents where the collective energy is trying to go, that individualism. And it's also talking to Chiron, which is conjunct the North Node still, but it's starting to separate. It's starting to move away from it. So this is us recognizing that individualistic wound we have, where we can go and be selfish, where we can go and overextend ourselves. This is us getting emotionally sound and secure in grounding ourselves in this new pattern. The moon will talk to Mars in Aquarius. Again, us getting support in getting grounded with this new pattern, us getting support in the creativity that we may have started to do when the moon moved into Gemini, the creative research we started to do, the creative mocktails, like eating the salad instead. Like this is us getting supportive energy from that benevolent energy, that God energy. And the moon will form a square to the sun in Pisces. Another opportunity to overcome a challenge, another opportunity for us to see where we can do something different creatively, something different, more grounded in who we feel we are on a deeper level, on a soul level. The moon talking to the sun and Neptune, which both will form a conjunction on Saturday as well. And the sun and Neptune is shining a light on where we can really get lost in our delusions. It's showing us, the truth of why we need to seek the truth, why we need to go after the things that we feel we need to go after on a soul level, on a deep level. So that's the weekly overview. I know that was a lot, but the highlight and the challenges for this week, I want to get into that. The highlights for this week, I would say, are Jupiter and Saturn forming that sextile during the new moon in Pisces. So, like I said earlier in this episode, we have to get grounded in what we know is the truth for ourselves. I don't know if I said it like that, but we have to get grounded in the truth of what we know for ourselves on a deeper level. We also need to surrender to what we know about ourselves on a deeper level. Surrender what we know about our belief system. Like, there are some things we just cannot control. And that is the new moon in Pisces, us knowing that and just setting the intention on, building boundaries around that. And so Saturn in Pisces is also associated with loneliness, that loneliness on a deeper level. That's trying to get you to see. That's the challenge of this week. Trying to get you to see where you can share your wisdom for good to the collective. Honestly, I feel like that's the whole premise of this week. Like, where can you share your creative talents, your creative energy, your creative wisdom for the good of the collective? Where can you offer your talents to be of service to the collective, your creativity to be of service to the collective? I wanted to also mention that a challenge with Saturn being in Pisces can be you leading yourself to self-destruction, because it's like, all right, if you don't want to use this creativity, then it could lead you down a very destructive path. It could lead you to, being hospitalized, because Pisces represents hospitalization. It can lead you to be in solitude, like prison, because Pisces represents solitude, imprisonment, addiction. It can lead you to be addicted to something because you're trying to escape it. You're trying to escape what you know is the truth. So overall, what I want you to take from Pisces and Saturn, if you haven't taken anything from it, and I don't know how this episode became about Pisces and Saturn, I guess because the moon in Pisces and Venus moving into Pisces. But what I want you to take from Pisces being in Saturn is, if you are a people pleaser, develop boundaries around that. If you are the type of person that takes, and you are not really good to others, you don't have empathy for others, you need to build boundaries around that too. You need to learn how to empathize. You need to learn how to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, because it could very well be you. Because Saturn represents karma, and that's the whole premise of karma. Like, treat people the way you want to be treated, because it could be you. And it wants you to turn inward, tap into who you truly are on a deep level. Feel those feelings and do something about them. And not in a destructive way, not in an intrusive thoughts type of way. Like, think about it as if you are just trying to please the little child that lives inside of you. Whoever you needed when you were a kid, become that person. That's also, to me, what Saturn in Pisces is, because I'm in solitude right now. Saturn is in my 12th house right now, which Pisces is in my 12th house. I'm an Aries rising, and I've been in solitude. I feel like I've been forced into solitude, and I've recognized that it's been a lot of inner child healing for me. And I feel like not Saturn, but the 12th house potentially is inner child healing. I'm still doing some observations and doing some astrological research about that, but I really believe that the 12th house is inner child healing. So some reflections that I've had over the past week. So last week was that Saturn in Pisces, I've been reflecting a lot about Saturn being in Pisces, because we are in Pisces season. And something I've observed is so many people are hysterical. It's so many people are being made aware of how hard, how difficult, how challenging the world has been. And for me, I've lived like not trying to, be a trauma Olympics, like somebody on TikTok said, not trying to make this a trauma Olympics, but like some people have always lived in struggle. Like I've always been in a bit of a struggle. And so like this isn't really a surprise to me, but it's surprising to see how many people are being made aware in so many words of like how difficult this society is. I used to get told that I was not a capitalist. I was thinking about capitalism. I used to get told that I was a complainer. And it's so weird to see like now that I recognize, yeah, I might have complained, but like it was for good reason. I wasn't just complaining just to complain. Capitalism sucks. It's crazy to see that now, to see how many people are starting to wake up to things that I have said like years ago. But that's just like a reflection that I had last week. Also like arrested development. I've been thinking about that a lot because on some level I recognized where I was arrested developmentally. Is that how I want to say it? That's yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Like I feel like that's where I can recognize where I was arrested developmentally and where I went wrong and where I can like mature in a lot of ways mentally. And I see so many adults are still in like their youth mentally. Even my parents, like I can recognize me outgrowing my grandmother who's what in her 80s or 90s. I recognize that I've outgrown like my aunts and my uncles and like my older siblings mentally. And I'm not trying to make myself seem more mature or anything like that, but like I just noticed like certain cycles and patterns that I've broken within my family on a mental level that I still see people that are older than me still living and repeating. So those are things that I've been reflecting on. But some predictions that I have this week. I don't know. I didn't even really think about it. I feel like this is I say very a lot. I noticed that. But I feel like this week is a quiet, thoughtful week. I think we're gathering a lot of information. We're gathering, ways to change, ways to break cycles, the cycles that we want to, that we've been repeating so many times that we want to like, get out of. And it's funny because Pisces represents the energy or the season right before the astrological new year. So I think that's interesting how we are starting to set those intentions on changing things and doing something different right before we have a energetic new year. So yeah, this week just collecting a lot of information, trying to, break old patterns or some of us trying to hold on. It depends on how you are, where you are on your personal journey. But some advice I would give this week is to research and not to get too lost in the research, not to get too overwhelmed or consumed in, gathering information or trying to find the truth. Tap into your intuition. This week we have a lot of intuitive help. Like we have a lot of help from the cosmos with our intuition, and we can get a little bit tripped up when the moon squares Mercury. That's towards the end of the week. So that's heading into eclipse season and Mercury shadow period. So the end of the week, we will start to feel a little bit shaky in our intuition. But I would say journal earlier this week, while we are feeling good, while we are feeling motivated. Write some affirmations so that when eclipse season come, when Mercury retrograde in Aries come, you can go back in your journal and look at these affirmations, look at the intentions for this period to, get grounded and see the bigger picture when things get shaky, see the bigger picture, or, Get grounded in your dreams when things get shaky. That's my advice for this week. So let's look at some personal study notes. So this is like where a part of the episode where I want to give some techniques on things that I've been reading. And I haven't really read much this past week because I was like doing a lot. I was trying to get all of the episodes together so that I can record them like I'm doing today. And so I wasn't able to really do any astrology, study any astrology. But I have a technique that I talk about all the time that I want to offer you guys, and that is tracking the moon. I cannot stress this enough. The moon can give you information about your emotional temperament, your emotional climate. So like, for example, this week, the moon in Aries, it's asking us to get active. It's asking us to initiate something that we've been carefully planning. It's asking us to avoid arguments and being impulsive. So the moon in Aries can be emotionally irritated in so many words. Because Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of war. Aries is the planet or the energy of war. And the moon being there, it's ready to start some shit, okay? So that's the moon in Aries. This is why I tell people to track the moon, because the moon represents our inner world. So you can be feeling this internally, and you can also be seeing this externally, because the moon represents our emotional world, and the moon transits our collective energy. So not only are you feeling this, but other people are feeling this. So you can be made more aware of the emotions for the day. Track the moon. The moon in Gemini, studying, researching, socializing. You could also be feeling restless, not being able to sleep, insomnia, overthinking things, trying to keep things on a very surface level, not really trying to feel things emotionally, and being indecisive. So when you are made aware of that, you can, not do it or do it when you need to. The moon in Taurus, emotionally stable. This is where the moon is exalted. So when you master the moon and Taurus energy, you are able to manifest like damn near anything, to be honest. Anything that the benevolent energy, the God energy, will let you manifest when you understand the moon in Taurus, because it's emotionally stable. It's fruitful, it's loyal, it's patient, it's able to take its natural resources and materialize something for the greater good. That is Taurus energy, but it can be resistant to change. It can be so lazy, so stuck in its ways, so stubborn that it is resistant to changing its behavior. Even if it's comfortable, even if it's uncomfortable and it's been something that you've been comfortable in for a long time. Taurus, the moon in Taurus is like, no, we're going to still try to live in this. So when you are able to recognize when you are doing these things, when the moon is in those signs that I just mentioned or any other sign, you are able to live more mindfully and tap into the higher expression of the energy when necessary. So we are at the end of the episode. I didn't even know that it was going to be this long. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't know it was going to be this long. Oh my God. But I can talk about astrology all day. I love it so much. It has helped me so much with my mental health, and I'm super, super grateful for it. There's an Einstein quote where he basically said, this is not verbatim, but he was like, astrology is a study that I am gratefully appreciative to. And I feel the same way. It's something that like really helped me understand myself in ways that I've always felt deeply about, but the world has projected so much to where I got lost in that and didn't really know myself anymore. So astrology was something to help me ground myself and become more mindful in living and live my life in a more purposeful way for my soul. And so I want to ask a question like, what is your relationship with astrology? How has it helped you if you are someone who studies astrology? But if you are new to astrology, what are you hoping to obtain from it? Like, what are you hoping to gain from your practice, from your study? And I want to say this as well. Astrology can be incorporated into Christianity. I know that might sound like blasphemy to some people, but it can be incorporated into your Christianity practices. Astrology is a tool that can be used in any sort of spiritual practice, religious practice that you use, that you study. So, with that being said, like, how do you want to incorporate that tool into your life? Um, Saturn in Pisces, last thing I'm gonna mention about it is you getting grounded in your spiritual beliefs, religious and spirituality can be beautiful in communal spaces. But ultimately, I know for a fact Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Allah, Buddha was all trying to get us to connect with the God energy within. So that is Saturn in Pisces as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. So whatever you believe in on a soul level, only you know. That is Saturn in Pisces, you getting grounded and disciplined in that. So with that being said, you guys, thank you so much. If you are at the end of this episode, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate this. I really enjoyed recording this. And I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. Normally I'm like all in my head, but this was very relaxing for me. So I really, really hope that you guys gained a better understanding for this week. I hope that you guys have a beautiful week, and I will see you next week. Peace.